And perhaps that might be a good place to start. Are you already beginning to enjoy the full benefits of the privatization process, especially in the power sector? I'm being joined on the program now by Bode Sowunmi, who is an energy analyst. Bode, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. That press conference was done well over a month ago, where a lifeline of 213 billion Naira was announced by the CBN, the Ministry of Power, the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, because gas is involved, and of course the NERC as well as regulator of that particular sector. What did you make of it?
I think, above all, it's a step in the right direction. You remember a while ago what we were talking about at the very initial when the privatization took place, and I said there's a process to these things. Sometimes the expectations of Nigerians are not being properly managed, and that was also a responsibility to the people who bought the successor companies. What they have done, which is very correct, is first of all ensure that they didn't just buy systems and buy people. They ensure that they bought solutions. In other words, they are going to integrate whatever plans they have with the people that they have on ground, and to ensure that the people that they have on ground are competent and are properly motivated for the direction that they are going. These, I believe, they've been doing. But what they have not done in the process is to let Nigerians know that simply because such an amount of money has been paid does not automatically translate to light. There's going to be a process for increased generation. There's going to be a process for proper distribution to ensure that whatever legacy systems there are replaced. Sometimes there may be a total overhaul, sometimes there may be repair. There are people who are calling for smart grids to be used, and this is a total different solution on its own. They also have their own innate issues that they are fighting with. They are fighting institutions, powerful people who are using power who do not want to pay. They are fighting theft. And and all the other things that are peculiar to the Nigerian system. So, and then there's also the issue of revenue collection, which is what I believe led to this. They have been expending some certain amount of money. There has been a discrepancy between the amount that is being generated and the revenue that is coming in. This discrepancy is as a result of those who are not paying, and also as a result of the fact that the amount that is being charged for power as of today does not necessarily equate the cost that is used to generate it.
Oh, you definitely know that that's going to be a very contentious issue in terms of asking people to pay more, especially when we haven't exactly cleaned out this particular area of whether people are actually paying for what they're consuming or they're just being billed arbitrarily. But before we go into the particular area, does it not also bring to the fore, this lifeline that was announced, whether or not the generation companies knew what they were going into when they were buying over these companies?
Well, the distribution companies, you mean, because the IPPs are the generation companies.
Yes, a generation in terms of, because we're paying the money to offset debts incurred by gas, procurement of gas. Did they exactly understand the profile of debt that the gas companies had been into before they took over these companies? I
think if we look at it as somebody that manages a company, as an entrepreneur, there are certain basics, and one of that basics is that when you buy over a company, you never fully know everything. So there are some things that you know along the line. It's a learning curve. I believe that there is nobody that bought a company and had a full picture. It is possible also that they bought the company with some of their mathematics being wrong. That is possible. I cannot speak for them because I don't know what the issues are. But what we have is that we have a situation in which they have debt. And rather than pointing fingers and looking for accusations, we need to look for a way forward, which I believe is what the government has tried to do. They have said that we find ourselves in this situation. Nigerians don't really need to know all these details. What they just want is light. So what is the best way forward? And they've come up with some of these as what you call initial moves that will solve the situation before we move to the next level.
But how does it trickle down? If we solve the problem at the generation level and we still have the problem of revenue collection, we still have the problem of inadequate pricing system, we do know that ideally there's supposed to be a regular increase in terms of service charge and tariff plans, or a general review. It might go up, it might go down from what we hear, but the way it is, it looks like it will most likely go up instead. How do you think, because a lot of Nigerians are still kicking against the fact that they have not been given their prepaid meters, talk more of even saying they're paying for what it is that you're going to use. How does it trickle down? How do you see it coming down to the end user at the end of the day?
You know, the NERC has a responsibility as a regulator to look at the side of the people and to look at the side of those who are putting in the money. One of the things about power, or most utilities, is the fact that they are developmental. In other words, there's a responsibility on the part of the regulator to ensure that it's not necessarily the amount that that it costs that you pay, but an amount that is reasonable, that will be profitable to those who are supplying it, but that will also be appreciated by the end consumer. Is it going to be easy? No, but that is their job. So at the end of the day, the NERC led by Dr. Amadi, I believe, will do a good job that will ensure that the businessman who is spending his money stays in his, can keep his business, and the consumer who is absorbing the electricity and consuming the electricity will be happy for what they are paying. Somebody gave this scenario once, and he said that if I put an IPP in Mushi, take for example the industrial area in Mushi, and I tell them that for your company you don't have to put on generator again. In fact, if you put on generator, I will pay you. And he signs such an MOU with them, and he says he's going to pay them a little. They are going to have to pay a little bit above what they're currently paying to PHCN, and slightly less than what they're consuming for their generator. It's most likely that that company will go for it. In other words, there comes a point in time, by the forces of demand and supply, and the fact that people and the fact that people have certain things that they are enjoying, that they will appreciate paying a little more. Is it going to be so soon? I don't know. But what I do know, that is what is to be done, and that is what will
What is stopping us from operating a model like that? We do know that there are some companies, though, now private companies who are supplying gas to certain companies. We've seen that also even with some state governments. For instance, Lagos state government is getting power supply from some independent gas companies now. What is stopping them from replicating that kind of model, say, across board to more companies and maybe estates or units of residential areas that at least you will say that it is easy to collect money from?
The industry needs to grow. The fact of the matter is that industry as a business needs to grow and develop and take care of itself. Yes, a lot of pressures are being put on government, but one of the main job of government is not to grow the industry, it's to provide the platform and the policies that will ensure that industry grows. It is the responsibility of the entrepreneur and the entrepreneurial spirit to build up machines, systems, companies that will take care of this. And basically, because there is a need and because there is money to be made, and as the information grows and as people get braver and as people attend to challenges more, the industry will grow and it will meet those challenges.